podcast. Today I'm joined with extra special guest, Andrew Penner. He's a former professional hockey player. He was undrafted, so I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself.
So I was born and raised in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Pretty big hotbed for professional hockey players, obviously Southern Ontario. And then I played minor hockey in Southern Ontario throughout the regions. Back then it was called the MTHL, Metro Toronto Hockey League. So I played against the likes, my age. I'm born in 1982, so I'm 39 years old now, not to date myself, but I played against guys like Brad Boyce, who played in the National Hockey League quite a long time, Michael Camilleri. Like, those were all guys that I played every weekend, basically growing up from the grade 8 to, when I turned junior. And then segueing into junior, I played in the Ontario Hockey League, which is a league in the Canadian Hockey League. Obviously, again, another hotbed. Lots of numerous amounts of guys have come out of there. They typically come out of the Western Hockey League, Ontario Hockey League, Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, or obviously NCAA Division I hockey. So I played in the Ontario Hockey League with North Bay Centennials for 2 years, and then with the Guelph Storm for 2 years. And there I played with Feder Tooten, Dustin Brown with the LA Kings, another player, Marty St. Pierre, Dan Paye, lots of guys on my team. So we hosted the national championship 1 year. And then 2 years later, I turned pro with the jersey you have on right there. So I was very, very fortunate. I went undrafted, kind of like Marty St. Louis and other guys. I was never selected in the National Hockey League draft, but went to camp at the age of 18 with Columbus and earned myself a National Hockey League contract right at a camp at the age of 18, which came as a bit of a surprise, but I'll take it, obviously. And then I spent 2 more years in junior under contract with Columbus, and then 3 years pro in their organization, and it was awesome. I'm sure we'll get into that, my time in Syracuse, and then a year under contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins, where I split time in Wilkes-Barre, probably 80% of the season in Wilkes-Barre and a little bit in Wheeling, West Virginia, where I played with another famous podcaster, Paul Bissonnette from Spit and Chicklets podcast. So quite the character. So I know him from junior in North Bay, actually, and my running into him, playing with him in pro. And then the last 4 years of my career I spent in Colorado, who was in the Central Hockey League, and then moved to the ECHL for the last couple of years that I was with them. So yeah, that's basically my journey. So 9-year pro stint, and yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing.
Awesome. So what made you get into hockey? Obviously you were the reason I got into the sport. You are the guy. My parents would never let me play goalie. I'll pull up a picture here. If I can figure out how to do it. Right here. So you actually,
come on.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So this was, we met, actually, I don't know if you even remember it. We met at this game. I don't think you played that night, if I can remember, but we met behind, right where they would drop the puck. And you stopped and talked to me for a little bit. And I mean, at that point, you looked just giant to me. I was like, oh my God, who's this guy? And so then I obviously went out and dropped the puck, and the whole game my dad doesn't know a lot about hockey, wasn't into sports much. And the whole game I was just asking him a bunch of questions, because this was my first ever professional game, or just hockey game in general. Yeah. And I just asked him a bunch of questions. I asked him on the ride home all about it. And he got home and he tells my mom, he goes, Carrie, we're in for some trouble. This isn't good. And so then we went to a bunch of games. When you ended up going to Pittsburgh in that organization, that was one of the most devastating points for me. I was like, oh my God, he's gone. This is it. Am I ever going to see him play again? Right. And so then every game that you guys would come, I would go to, and it would be the only games of the season that I would cheer against Syracuse. I would make sure that I was down right by your goal. I would watch you stretch and warm up and everything. And I was like, yes, I need to do this. But then my parents were like, nope, no goalie. Sorry. Like, not
Right. Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And
I don't blame them.
yeah. And so then actually, this was at senior night. So I finally got him to budge. That game was in 2003. And in 2004, I got them to kind of budge. They wouldn't buy me pads or an actual stick for a while. They would made me play with like a big candy cane. And then my grandpa actually made me that stick that's right in that picture.
Wow.
And then go on, and I was on my varsity team. But
Nice.
so this is at the Hockey Hall of Fame, obviously.
That's right.
Yeah. My parents wouldn't let me play goalie, so I had to get the pads on somehow. So I thought this was the way to do it. And then obviously I have your number
35.
my
Wow.
whole career. So I definitely was a huge fan. So but what made you actually get into this sport? Like what was there your parents, or was it
Yeah. Well, first off, you know what, Eric, I so much appreciate you being a fan of both myself and Syracuse. Like, obviously without the fans, it's the game doesn't go anywhere. But you know what, just like you, like, I started at a young age. So my father coached and played hockey, and he was a goalie. So he'd have all the kind of like those deer hide pads that you just saw in that photo from the Hall of Fame, the old brown ones. Like, he had old heavy equipment, because I was born in 82, right? So this would have been 86, when I was 5-6 years old, like, just playing mini sticks. And you know what? It's funny how you take a liking to some teams. I took a liking to LA, Los Angeles Kings,
okay?
when I was 4 or 5 years old, maybe because of Wayne Gretzky. I mean, maybe because of his popularity in the game and growing up in Canada. But then it kind of segued to Kelly Rudy, and I just loved Kelly Rudy and LA Kings, which is funny because he had the bandana, and I'm not a
Yeah.
flashy guy, kind of, and he was pretty Hollywood flash a little bit, but
Okay.
yeah, just loved him. I ordered a poster from LA that cost a fortune, that, like, it came, I put it on my wall. Like, you couldn't find a Kelly Rudy poster, obviously, anywhere in Toronto or Canada pretty much. So I had to custom order one. But so my dad had goalie gear laying around all the time, and just, kind of, he was always watching hockey and playing hockey and going to men's tournaments and stuff. So kind of just transitioned to myself. But boy, did I fall in love with it hard. And growing up in Canada, it's cold. That's all we would do, is play road hockey and then play youth sports like minor hockey. And I grew up in a tiny town of like 1,500 people.
Okay.
So we had like a hockey rink and a community center, a school, and that's about it. Maybe a couple stores. So there wasn't much to do.
Did you play any other sports like growing up, or was it
just... Yeah, you know what? I did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's important even now. Like, I know how skilled guys like, Kucherov and McDavid and Draisaitl, like the elite of the elite. And if you want to be at that level, obviously you got to dedicate time to your sport, right? And to your craft. Yeah. But I'm a huge advocate of kids playing a whole bunch of sports. So I got 2 little boys who are 8 and 6 and similar to me. So I grew up playing, baseball. We didn't play hardball in Canada. We played like with the bigger ball, like windmill, like they call it softball. So I grew up playing that. Soccer a little bit. Lacrosse was popular.
Okay.
In Southern Ontario. It's a huge sport here in Canada. Same in the States, I guess, NLL, like at some of the D1 schools.
Yeah.
But box lacrosse, sorry. I never played field lacrosse. So, but lots of sports, like, and always playing sports with friends. Like, and then in school, basketball, volleyball.
Okay.
On those teams, on the badminton team a little bit, which was awesome. So, as much as it could fit in. As you got older and progressed, like throughout minor hockey, it took a lot more time to dedicate towards hockey, so it pulled away from the other sports. But even to this day, like, I love playing sports and I love trying new things. I tried snowboarding for the first time last year, and it went okay. So I'm gonna try to go again. Like stuff. I love being an athlete, or trying to anyways. Now, as you get older, it gets a little more difficult. But so no, I think it's super important if kids can, you know what I mean, or anybody, like, just try different things and really stay physical and use your body. So just
Totally.
makes you healthier. Yeah.
So, like I said, my parents were all against goalie, but you said your dad was a goalie. So
Right.
was he supportive of your decision to be a goalie, or was it more so, or were they both? Like, was your mom also, or was it just your
Yeah.
dad? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is
no, they were okay. One to what they wanted me to play forward for a few years, and I did, and I kept bugging them and bugging them and bugging them, like, I want to go goalie, I want to go goalie. So finally they said, okay, like now you can go goalie. So, but I
okay.
played the first few years as a forward, which I think is important, like as an out player. So, because you have to develop your skating and your puck handling, and even now here in where I reside in Winnipeg, Manitoba, the youth hockey, they don't have a full-time goalie until the age of 8 or 9 kind of thing,
Oh,
right?
really?
So yeah, so you want the kids, they start at age 5, so 5, 6, 7, yeah, first 3-4 years they're trying to develop themselves as an overall, like a
Oh,
well-rounded
wow.
player. Yeah, and then get into goalie specific, which is which I like that route a lot. You can't just throw a kid in net like right away, no matter how much he wants to be a goalie, I think. But I
Okay.
heard a super good podcast, which we can talk about later if we get into the Lightning and Vasilevsky and stuff. It was really, really interesting about what Russia's doing with their goaltenders. And you can kind of see it now with like Vasi and Bobrovsky and Igor Sturkin. Like, it's incredible. They kind of do that. They kind of let the kids, develop more well-rounded, even when they're goalie specific, age 9, 10, 11, just let them be athletes, kind of hone them into the goaltending position before getting really technical and really getting on them, as opposed to
Okay.
kind of making them too robotic from a young age. But but anyways, yeah. Like, I played a few years as a forward, and then I was like, hey, put me in net. Like, I've had enough.
I got you.
So yeah.
Yeah, my dad designed the posters for the Crunch for a while.
Really?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of them
Oh,
still. Oh, so
yes.
I don't know what's going on with this background, but so I have that, and I have your stick here too, but I don't know if that's going to even show from that picture. I have
Oh yeah, the vector. Yeah.
oh yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, he talked to you too when he was doing all those posters and stuff, and he goes, yeah, Penner said that if you want to be a good goalie, like, you have to be able. The goalies are usually the fastest guys on the team. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, how? And then the more, like, I got older and understood the game more, I was like, oh my God, how do they move in those pads? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm sure they have to be exquisite athletes to be able to do that, and then to be able to. I mean, you only go to the bench on a penalty, or on a delayed penalty, and when you pull a goalie. But my God, I'd fall just trying to move.
Yeah. It's a lot of practice. And your dad's right. I did say that, like, we're either the fastest or probably one of the best skaters overall on the
Okay.
team, I would say. And even in my goalie equipment, when we had power skating specific practices, like growing up, I would do it all the time. We'd have no pucks and I'd have to do all the power skating. But yeah, when you look at it, it's a lot of edge work, right? You're using your inside edges, or outside, inside, pivoting, moving. Like, you have to be a pretty proficient skater to play the goal position. So, but yeah, he's exactly right. Like, you can't just throw, I guess, the old, stereotype of throwing the slow kid who into the,
Yeah,
into net. Like, the big slow guy, he'll take up all the net, but he can't move. And
like
no,
the
like,
Goldberg.
yeah, like Goldberg. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Great analogy. So, but yeah, you have to be. These guys are so good now. It's unbelievable. They look like hovercrafts out there. Like, they're so smooth and fast, and it's amazing. So,
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's not a goalie, but the way that McDavid and McKinnon move,
oh
it's ridiculous. I haven't seen either of them in person yet, but I just even on the TV, you can't even believe how fast they're moving. It's like how much power they get out of their legs.
yeah,
It's incredible.
yeah, it's insane. And it's, you know what, it's unbelievable to do, to skate at that high of a speed and stick handle, like hand handle the puck. It's
Yeah,
incredible. Like, but they're head and shoulders above the rest of the league when it comes to that. Like, and their first
definitely.
3 steps, they're gone. They get the puck and they're gone. It's insane. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So if you ever do get a chance to see them in person, yeah, it's quite the spectacle for sure.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned to you that we're trying to go to, or my cousin and I are trying to go to every NHL arena. Obviously right now with COVID, like it's kind of difficult, but
Right.
so we've gone to 7 now, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a process. I went to my first ever NHL game when I was 16. We went to a Tampa Rangers game
Nice.
in MSG. So,
Was it? Oh,
oh
wow.
yeah, my cousin's a huge Rangers fan, and I was like, oh yeah, like this is cool, like awesome. This is the spot for hockey. And then I'm like, the more I get traveling and going to games and stuff, it's like, no, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Right.
It's, I mean, it's nice, but don't get me wrong, but like, it is not the way to go. So, like, what was the significance of your number? Like, is that what your dad wore, or is that just something you just picked? And why primarily 31? Because I obviously was drawn to 35, but
Right.
that's when you obviously played for Syracuse when you wear that. So,
Yep.
so what was the significance behind those?
One to what? Actually, because of Curtis Joseph.
Really?
Now that I think back to it. Yeah. Yeah. Like I used to, like passwords on old emails or like 4-digit codes would always be like Cujo, like, or like Cujo 31. You know, I don't know. Especially when he went to Toronto, well, because he was in Toronto and I ended up meeting him, I think, when I was younger. And then I actually skated with him when he was with Detroit and I was with Columbus, Syracuse.
Really?
In Troy. Yeah, and he was awesome. Like one of the nicest guys I've met. Like just, he could tell I was in, you talked about perhaps being in awe of having me on the podcast. Like, and I was pro, like I was just up with Columbus a little bit and like essentially in the same league as the guy, not full time, but you know what I mean? Kind of on the same level a little bit. And I walked into the dressing room. It was a skate for all the Toronto local guys during the summer.
Okay.
So they needed some goalies and I was out there. And as soon as I like kind of looked up, I was getting dressed and it was Cujo like across the room. And I was like, and he could tell I was like, oh, this is a pretty big deal for him. Kind of. Yeah. And I was just staring at him and he looked over and was like, hey man, like he knew. And I was like, oh, hey. And then talking to him on the ice and stuff. But yeah, great question. Yeah. I'm almost positive that jogged my memory. I started wearing, because I always wore one because it was kind of the goalie jersey on all the hockey teams. And then, I switched to 31 in junior. Yeah. When I was like 16, I think 16, 17, and then wore it as much as possible. And then I was 35 in Syracuse. And then I was number 1 when I was fortunate enough to be up with Columbus. And then, but mostly always wore 31. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, was there at any point in time where you realized like, oh, hey, like I could definitely do this. Like I could go pro necessarily. Was there any point in time where you were just like, you know what, like this is exactly what I'm going to do for the time being? Obviously you have a desk job now, right?
Yeah.
So was there any point in time where you just realized like, I think I have the not to sound arrogant, but like, yes, I do have the skills to be able to go and play?
You know what, when I played major junior in North Bay, well, like I said, I went undrafted, so I was like, okay, so I was obviously super disappointed. Like I think I was ranked, they do a ranking every year of the kids who are draft eligible, so all the top 18-year-olds in the world, and they put you in a ranking. So I think out of say 30 goalies, I can't remember, but say I was like 15, so in the middle of the pack. And I didn't go to the draft in Florida. I just stayed home to watch it on the internet, because you see a lot of kids' hearts get broken. You go to the draft and you sit there and then you don't get selected. Like, it's pretty tough. So my agent said, just stay home and just see if you get picked. You know what I mean? So I crossed all the numbers off, or all the names that were getting drafted. So it was everybody to like 15 or whatever. And then my name not selected. And then quite a few names after. And I just sat there. Yeah. When it was done, I just went, what? So I went to my garage and took about like 3 or 4 goalie sticks to the tennis courts and just started shooting pucks. And then I think I broke all of them. I was frustrated. I bet. I was a pretty competitive kid, and like still am. Like, I guess you have to be an athlete. Like I was mad. I was frustrated. I was upset. I was disappointed, but then Columbus called me in that summer and asked me to come for an invite. And I just thought to myself, if nothing comes of this, like just enjoy the experience, and maybe I'll go to Canadian University after or whatever. Because a lot of guys went that path. If they didn't go pro, you'd go to university and play for a Canadian University team and get your education and kind of go off into the world, right? But yeah, so I kind of not surprised myself, but when I got to that camp in Columbus, and then they had a rookie camp in Traverse City, Michigan. So they take like 5 or 6 NHL teams, all the young guys. So it was like us, Atlanta, a few other teams, but that's when they had like Kovalchuk, Danny Heatley.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah. So Atlanta was stacked. Like, and we had, Pascal Leclerc in that. It was myself, Pazzi, and a couple other guys. So we all got into games. We practiced, like, and I had a really good showcasing. And then they said, okay, you're coming to main camp and show what you can do. And then I did. And then they called me in and said, okay, we talked to your agent, and we want to sign you to a National Hockey League contract. So I think at that point I was like, well, I guess I'm turning pro now.
Yeah.
So, but like, cause in junior, I was pretty good, like good goalie, but I think what they saw was, a big kid. I'm 6'2", like, really very athletic, competes really hard. So kind of viewed more as a prospect as opposed to like, legit, like this guy's a surefire NHL guy, right? Like, because I think there was more like the late Ray Emery. There was guys in my league who were like on the World Junior team. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, and they were going to be pros for sure and play in the National Hockey League. So, but yeah, I guess when I signed when I was 18, I'm like, well, this is happening. So, but up until that point, you kind of just compete, play the best you can, and see where it takes you. So
I mean, I guess being undrafted in a way, I don't know. I feel like that would be cool to me, being getting a call or having your agent call you and be like, oh yeah, this team wants to have you come. Like, I don't know. I feel like that to me would just be more. I mean, obviously everybody wants to get drafted, like that's a dream, but when a team goes out of their way and calls you and it's like, oh yeah, I like what you got, like come show me and see. I feel like that would just be one of the craziest phone calls I'm sure that you've received. Right?
Yeah, well, we want to what, Eric, too, it opened up different opportunities. So I guess when you get drafted, right, a team is showing that much interest in you to use a draft selection to take you, to protect you within their organization, right? So that didn't happen, which is fine. But then Columbus reached out, and what that did was give me an opportunity to showcase myself, especially when we went to Traverse City. There was like 6 or 7 other teams there, or 5 or 6 or whatever. They did like a tournament. So I'm playing well, like really well. It was probably one of the best I played and kind of springboarded my career, obviously. But I'm also showcasing myself to those other 5 or 6 teams. And they're like, whoa, like, who's this kid? Like, how did he get passed up? Or where did he come from? Like, so Columbus had to make the decision, like, okay, like he's just an invite. Like, we lose him. Like, if someone scoops in and wants to sign him and values him as a prospect, like, we just invited this kid, showcased him, and now we might lose him. So actually, that's a great point you make. Yeah. So as an undrafted, quote unquote, free agent, you can go anywhere. Like, so now it almost opened up again to all the teams. And yeah, Columbus was just like, yeah, let's sign you and see what happens over the next 3 years.
That's awesome. Yeah. So let me see what my next question was. Okay.
Sure.
So obviously you mentioned that you played a little bit of forward. So was that something that you ever say you got in a goal and you were not, like, hated it? Do you think you still would have gone pro or tried to necessarily go that as far as you did with playing forward, or was it just you got in a goal and you were like, this is the only option?
Yeah, I think that was the only option. It's like my goalie partner was Alex Auld in North Bay.
Okay.
He played in Vancouver, Montreal. He was world junior goalie. But I remember we were talking one time, like, goalies just love goalie equipment, like the masks and the painting of the masks and like designing your own gear. And I was out to dinner with him and his wife, and she's like, would you guys stop talking about goalie equipment? And we're like, listen, I like, not that all women are into purses, but it's like, women with purses or clothes. Like,
Yeah.
we're just so into it. We're just like, oh man, did you see that gear? Did you see that guy's helmet? So that was a huge attraction for me playing goal. Like, I just love the goalie equipment and the different goalie sticks. Yeah. So I don't really think I would have went as a forward. Even when I finished playing pro, I went out and bought sorry, I keep moving away from the microphone and stuff.
No, you're fine.
I went out and bought all player gear. I got rid of all my goaltending gear, and I'm like, I'm going to try something different, play forward, play defense, like pick up a couple of tournaments, whatever, like have fun with it. And a few years ago, I contacted my like the Vaughn goalie equipment. I contacted the NHL Vaughn rep and I said, you got to get me some gear. Like, I want to go back and goal. Like, I've had enough. Like, it's funny. And I was okay. Like, great skater, can move around, but it's the game's so different. Like, I just couldn't, like as a defenseman, like I just was so used to viewing the game as a goalie.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go back in net. And plus my kids were getting a little bit older a few years ago. There's like, were you a goalie, daddy? Like, where's all your goalie equipment? Like, what's going on? So I was like, yeah, I want to go back in net. So yeah, long-winded answer to your question, but I don't think there was many options going forward. Like, I was a goalie through and through. So
I gotcha. So what kind of style would you say you had? Like, I mean, I know there's butterfly, hybrid, stand-up.
Yeah.
What would you classify yourself as? Or do you think it like changed the more that you developed into a player?
Yeah, great question. No, I'd definitely say hybrid. Like, maybe a little bit more butterfly when I was younger, but I think with hybrid is just a lot more patience on your feet, right? Like, if the guy's shooting high, you can stay up and kind of, make the save with the shoulder. You don't have to drop on everything. But I think that comes with maturity, right? Like, just reading the game a little bit better, being a little bit more patient, not hitting the deck or being so, kind of jittery or anxious to get down low. So I'd say hybrid for sure. It would be my style.
Now, did you model it after anybody? I know you said you're a big fan of Cujo, but did you necessarily model, not, I mean, everybody has their own style, but did you kind of mold yourself around a different goalie that you grew up watching? Or
you know what? Yeah, not Cujo. He was was a lot more like super competitive, but acrobatic.
Yeah,
a little bit more. Yeah, totally. I mean, he's making diving saves and he's played. Like, he wasn't super, technical and like nowhere near butterfly. No, I just loved Cujo, just the way he played and competed and stuff. But more so, like when I was in junior, I watched guys like Marty Turco coming up through University of Michigan.
Okay.
But he played the puck so well. So kind of watching him with puck playing. But as far as style, I loved Dan Cloutier, who played in Vancouver for a long time and then in Tampa a little bit, just because he was tough and he fought a lot was mostly the attraction there. Like, I loved it. And then I used to wear that old school helmet that he wore, that Chris Osgood wore. Yeah. Just the cage and the bucket. But yeah, more, I guess those guys were kind of hybrid. Who else was there? Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, not like Patrick Waugh or Brodeur or anything much, like but more so maybe Nikolai Habibulin was kind of a pretty good hybrid, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he was awesome. Kiprasov, like guys who were athletic but still had structure to their game, I should say. Yeah. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. So did people ever like recognize you? I mean, you're on the street or on the road for games, and does anybody ever like stop? Did anybody ever just be like, oh, hey, that's Andrew Penner? Like, did anybody?
Yeah, you know what? In Colorado, when I was playing for the Colorado Eagles, because they had such a presence in the community and were so well known, like we were always out doing stuff, like with children's hospitals or hospitals in general, or doing community events. They did a great job of that, and a lot of teams do now. Like, you see, even at the NHL level, there's a lot of exposure for those guys to the public, which is awesome, and that's what grows the game. But yeah, like a few times in Colorado, and then in junior, because it's the same thing. Like, most of the time when you're in with the Guelph Storm, like in the city of Guelph, Ontario, you're like the biggest thing going for sports in that town, right? So but yeah, it was always awesome, and everybody was always really cool. But you'd get recognized mostly in your hometown. I mean, not to the level that the Lightning guys or anybody get recognized by, but still, it was extremely flattering, and it was always fun to talk and converse with fans. Like, it
Yeah.
was the best. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So like you played for, I mean, not a lot of different professional teams, but you played
Mhm.
for a pretty decent amount. Would you say that you would have preferred to be, if like Columbus, for example, would you have
Mhm.
preferred to stay there your whole professional career, or are you happy that you moved and got to see different places, or meet different people, or would you have preferred to just stay central to Columbus?
Uh, well, yeah. I mean, if I got to stay in Columbus my whole career or Syracuse, it probably would have meant that you're doing something pretty well, right? If they signed you and you kept staying there, especially the National Hockey League. I mean, besides compensation and monetary gains and stuff, it would. But also traveling around is awesome. It's great going on the road too. Like my last year pro, when we were in the ECHL, we got to go to like Salt Lake City, Utah, and Boise, Idaho, and Alaska. We went to Alaska to play Alaska Aces, and that was awesome. Like that was one of the most fun years. And I kind of knew it was my last year. So I was like, I'm just going to enjoy this. Like I'm going to go to restaurants and I'm going to go see local culture and take in concerts if there's something there. So and I did that and it was awesome. Like I never ate so much salmon in my life when I was in Alaska. It's salmon in the pasta and the chowder and the everywhere, and a lot of craft beers and stuff. But it was awesome seeing a lot of the United States during my career. So there's some great cities, some not so great,
Yeah.
but I mean, it helps you just become a better person and a better player. So
Yeah, definitely. So would you say that Alaska is probably like your favorite like location to just be in for the area, or would is there some other place that just sticks out like this was the best?
yeah, because we were about 45 minutes north of Denver in Fort Collins, Colorado. And they get like 300 plus sunshine days a year. Like there was hiking. They treated us unreal. Like that organization is doing an unbelievable job. And you can see they kind of went from the Central Hockey League to the ECHL. Now they're in the American Hockey League. Obviously, Colorado Avalanche's primary affiliate in the American League. Yeah, it was a beautiful spot. Like, and that's why I probably spent 4 years there at the
Okay.
tail end of my career.
All right. So what would you say like your favorite part of playing in Colorado was? You said you were so close to Denver. What was like your favorite part of being there?
Uh, yeah, just the area was unreal. Even though we didn't get to ski or anything, like just the hiking. I guess the culture, it was very like a lot of craft beer microbreweries. Not that I drink a ton of beer, but I enjoy craft beer, and the food culture was unreal. They had a sold out arena like every game. Like even though we
Really?
were in the Central Hockey League, it felt like American League or above. Like it was crazy. Like the way we got treated, the way they treated all the players, the staff, the fans, the fan engagement. It was amazing. I
Wow.
couldn't believe, yeah, how well they developed that organization there. Like from a grassroots level up, like, and it came from up top with the leadership. Like I think Ralph Backstrom was involved. He won 6 Stanley Cups, I think, with the Montreal Canadiens, and obviously I think in the 60s and 70s, and he was amazing ambassador for the team. And yeah, it was awesome. I don't know, I just love the mountains, and very outdoorsy, right? Like everybody's super active, lots of
Yeah.
biking. Like I'd never really seen bike lanes, and they had bike lanes everywhere because people were just biking to work and biking on a weekend. And yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing area.
Have you been back since? Like since you retired from professional hockey, have you been
Yeah,
back to visit?
yeah. Once a couple years ago, they had like an alumni game. Uh,
Oh
eh,
yeah, I do
yeah,
remember that.
yeah, and I went with my brother Alex, who I played with there, which was another huge like both like accomplishment and experience to play with your brother, like playing
Oh, I bet.
any professional sport with a sibling. It was unbelievable. So yeah, so we went back for that alumni game, and actually, yeah, right when we landed, like we rented a car, And the next morning we got up and we drove to Estes Park, Colorado, where they filmed The Shining, the
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Yeah, that famous mansions up there and stuff. So
Yeah.
we just went for a hike because we always used to hike an area called Gem Lake up there. So when we went back, it was like, yeah, same thing, like really taking advantage of seeing old faces and catching up with friends and teammates and hiking and trying to go out for dinner. It was awesome. Yeah. So I did
Awesome.
go, I'd like to go back again, like obviously to the Colorado area. It's beautiful.
Yeah. That's one of them I haven't been to yet, but obviously with the Avs being so good right now, like this is it's prime opportunity when McKinnon and McCaw are both that
Oh
young
yeah.
still. So yeah. But so did you have any, I don't know, are you a superstition guy? Like did you have, oh, you had to do this stretch at this time, or you had to have this meal before every game, or was it just more of a go with the flow kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe not so much superstition, but more like routine for sure. Like
Okay.
I enjoyed my routine. Yeah, like we'll put the equipment on the same way, like do the same
Yeah.
things before going out for the period. But if something, if you couldn't do one of those things, yeah, it didn't like throw me way off, and that's all I thought about. But I, even to this day, I still prefer structure and routine and getting
Yeah.
up at the same time, and yeah, just having a lot of structure in your day. I enjoy that. So yeah, not so much superstition like talking goalposts or naming your sticks, or
Yeah.
but always, yeah, always like tape stick the same way, like tape two new sticks before games, or like take the old tape off, put new tape on, like have a black coffee, whatever it was, but it was more
Yeah.
routine, yeah, as opposed to superstition. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I know Flurry and his goalposts are just the
Oh
bestest of friends all the time now.
yeah.
So Um, so what, I mean, did you have water in your water bottle, or did you have, was it a Gatorade, or what was your go-to in the water bottle?
Yeah, no, it was always water. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Gatorade, like half Gatorade, half water in the cup in between periods. Like usually have a cup or two of Gatorade.
Okay.
Um, yeah, sometimes like a power bar or power gel, like after the second period, if feeling a little lethargic or like you need to eat something.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes oranges, like yeah, whatever you just kind of felt like, but always water in the water bottle. Yeah, because I would always like spray it on my face and
Yeah.
drink it and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So like what goes through a goalie's mind? I know that everybody always says like goalies are nuts, right? Like goalies are crazy even to stand in the net, let alone like what goes through your head like before you go out there, like during the game, like what do you see, what goes on, how do you communicate with your players? I know that's huge for a
Mhm.
goalie.
Yeah, well, when you're in net, you're kind of quarterbacking the play in the zone. So you're kind of like watching the play, but you're also trying to be alert, like head on a swivel a bit to see what's in your peripheral. Trying to tell guys if there's a guy wide open in front of the net or if you see a play developing. But you're right, like communicating with the defenseman if they're having pressure when they kind of go around the net, then you call like for a reverse or for an over or a quick up. So you're kind of the eyes in the back of their head a little bit. But
Okay.
yeah, that's a great point. Like you have to communicate. You got to let guys know like how much time they have to make a play, or yeah, if they're being super pressured, like or just telling them to rim the puck. Yeah, but yeah, it's more so when the play's down in the other end, you gotta keep your head into it because it can get away from you a little bit. Like you just have to kind of rein it back in. You'll start looking around the crowd and be like, oh, like I didn't know they won a championship in that season. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like when you're going to visiting rinks, you're like,
totally.
oh, that's pretty cool. You're like, all right, like his numbers retired throughout the whole league, like stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
as soon as the play kind of approaches center and starts coming in, like you obviously have to be fully engaged because you can't have your mind wandering. But I'd be lying if I said it's never wandered before. You'd be start thinking like The Simpsons or South Park. You know what I mean? You things would just
Yeah.
creep into your head when it's down at the other end. You'd be like, like what? I should watch that show tonight, or I should read that book. You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh nope, back in the play.
Yeah.
So, but what would help keep your focus is you kind of see who's on the ice and you kind of try to keep in. But yeah, I mean, it's like anything; it wanders here and there. So
Oh, I bet. I mean,
Yeah.
there's games all the time you watch on TV. The shots, even in just a period, can be upwards of 18 shots to 4. It's
Yeah.
like, how does that poor goalie just keep his head? Like, how do you even function? Like, you only get a couple of shots a period. How does that even happen? Like, how?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's difficult. I'd rather have the 18 shots, obviously, and I'm sure most guys would tell you that. So because it keeps you engaged. You're
Yeah,
jumping out, playing the puck, and you're making saves and you're communicating, and there's probably a few power plays for the other team if you're getting that many shots, hopefully. But yeah, when you get 3, 4 shots a period, it's that's tough. Like you
yeah,
start to cool down a bit, right? So you got to do a little bit more skating around. Like, yeah, you have to find ways to keep yourself engaged and ready, or yeah, or you just kind of get cold.
yeah. So I'm sure, obviously, like, if you only get the 3, 4 shots a period, obviously that means the team in front of you is playing very well. But
Right.
so obviously you're grateful for that. But what happens in the locker room if you your team first period 18 plus shots? What do you say? How do you yell at them, or what do you say to them to be like, knock it off?
Yeah, I mean, you can just make general comments. Probably look towards the leadership, like the captains and
Yeah,
assistant captains, to be a little bit more vocal in that situation. Like that picture you showed me, like Jamie Pusher, who was our captain,
yeah,
like unreal. I mean, Stanley Cup winner, like amazing leader. Like he was awesome. Like, but those guys would usually step up and say something. Once in a while, you would say, "Yeah, like guys, like we got to be better than that," or "Man, like we got to turn it around this period." But I was never one to point fingers like the coaches, and some guys would call guys out, and I've
okay,
been called out lots of times. You know what I mean? Like, hey, like you got to be better than that. That was terrible.
yeah,
But not too much. It was usually coaches and stuff because being a good team guy, I always prided myself on being a really team first guy, like a glue guy. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you got to be. You don't want to be kind of a donkey and pointing fingers, and they're just like, man, this guy's an a-hole. Like I don't want to play for
yeah,
this guy, right? So, but yeah, sometimes like, hey guys, we got to be better. Like we got to pick it up. Like that wasn't good enough. And then
yeah,
most guys know that, right? So,
yeah. That was
but
always one of my fears. Like, if my parents ever let me play goalie, but that was the reason they didn't, is because, I mean, not just the coaches and the team, but I mean, you get out in youth hockey, you get out into the warming room or whatever it might be, and you got to deal with the parents. Like, if you have a bad game, you got to go out there and deal with the parents. And I mean, oh, Jimmy did great in that. Jimmy did. That's not what they're thinking. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
if Jimmy let in 8 goals on 12 shots, Jimmy didn't have a good game. You know what I
right.
mean? It's like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
That would be, I think,
yeah, and
hard
you
for
can
me.
tell. Right, yeah, you kind of got to have thick skin, but also as a goalie, you start to learn like what's a good goal and what's a bad goal. I mean, you could let in, I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but 7 goals and they're all good goals. But chances are some of them aren't going to be very good goals. But
Yeah,
I mean, you could win a game 5-4 and they're all like, say there's 2 breakaways, power play backdoor goal, and another goal, right? And you're like, 4 goals, not great, but they were all really good goals and you played well. So I mean,
yeah,
some when in youth hockey, some parents don't understand that, right? They probably just go, oh,
exactly.
like, and then some guys go, oh, well, we won 3-2, and the goalie was great, but maybe those 2 goals weren't very good. Like maybe they're pretty soft. The kid could have had a shutout. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you got to kind of know a little bit about the game too. But yeah, and you also just can't worry about what people are thinking if you want to,
definitely.
yeah, play that position, because yeah, you're right, there's nowhere to hide out there when you're
Yeah,
just standing alone in the crease. Like it's typically a lot of other mistakes happen, but watching the goal go in the net is the most glaring mistake, right? And it's usually pinned on the goalie. So that would be one thing that's tough. But yeah, you got to have thick skin and go, oh, all right, let's go.
yeah. So obviously, you said the word shutout. Like, is that? I know that's like a forbidden word when you're watching a game. You can't. No, nobody says that. Nobody says hat trick. Nobody says anything like that, because it jinxes the person. But like, are you the same way? Like, do you, like, if somebody says, "Oh, Benner's going to get a shutout tonight," like, how's that? Does that affect you at all, or is it just
No,
like,
yeah, not really. No, like it was either going to happen or not. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, it's not going to change the way I approach the game or get prepared or think, oh, like, oh man, someone said shutout. Like, no, I'm not going to get a shutout. No, they were few and far between anyways. So if they did happen, it was unbelievable. And if it didn't, it didn't. I mean, the expectation was they were probably going to score 1 or 2 goals a game, right? Like
Yeah.
typically, statistically speaking, on an average. But yeah, I mean, you're always striving not to let any in, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if someone said, "Hey, we could really use a shutout tonight." I'd be like, well, yeah, that would be unbelievable. I got to
Yeah.
try my best, but yeah,
Okay.
stuff like that didn't really bother me too much.
Okay. All right. So what would you say, like, not the worst shot, but like the hardest shot or deke? Did you prefer a shooter over somebody that dekes, or did you prefer the back and forth movement?
Yeah, like on a breakaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't mind the moves, shots. Well, it depends who the shooter was too. Like I mean, you got a guy coming in the middle, and he's a pretty high prolific scoring guy, and he could probably pick a corner pretty good. He's at a pretty good angle coming down the slot, right? I guess I'd rather him try to make a move. I felt I was athletic enough and can try to get across or get a pad on it. Um, Unless he makes a move and then gets it up high, then you're like, okay. So you
Yeah.
just try to make them earn it, right? I guess. So,
Okay.
but I guess that's why guys like Robin Leonard, he hates shootouts. Like if you've ever heard him speak about it, and some
Yeah.
guys like it. I don't mind it. It is what it is, I guess. But it's yeah, you just kind of try to outcompete the guy. You got to be patient, or else guys, especially nowadays, they'll just make you look foolish. Like one quick move, and you like bite, and they're around you, or
Yeah.
it's screw you, or yeah. So
Yeah. So what happens like after a game? So I mean, they always show on social media like what happens before you get all the players walking in. They play the 2-touch or 3-touch soccer. They
yep,
throw around a football. What happens after? I mean, obviously, I'm sure the not everybody does the post game interviews and stuff like that. But what happens
right.
after the game for a goalie specifically?
Uh, I guess it depends. If I was playing, um, it was in the American League. Usually you get undressed, probably have like a protein shake or whatever. Actually, they always had protein shakes for us in Columbus and in Syracuse, like to help recover after the game, right? So before you'd go out and eat. So probably have a protein shake, like get down into your like bike shorts and probably change your undershirt, and then usually like stretch or foam roll or spin on the bike for 5-6 minutes, some sort of form of recovery. Or guys with cold tub, like that help get the inflammation out of their legs. And then shower, and then yeah, put your suit on, and then usually head out for a bite to eat or go home and eat right away and get prepared for the next day. But yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, very rarely do you just get undressed, shower, and leave. Like not too many
Okay.
guys do that. There's always some sort of element of recovery, I would think. And if you didn't play, I think the guys who didn't play much, especially the goalie, they were expected, unless they were playing the next day, but they were usually expected to go into the gym and do something, like maybe a 15-minute workout, circuit workout, or
Oh,
jump on the
okay.
bike for 20, 25 minutes, kind of because you didn't do anything, right? So they want
Yeah.
to, yeah, supplement you not playing for doing some form of exercise or something after the game. So yeah, there's always something going on.
So would you prefer to play the beginning of a back to back? Like say you were either the starter or the backup for the team. Would you prefer to
Yep.
play the initial game of the back to back, or would you prefer to play the second half when the team is probably a little bit more tired, or would you or do you like the not necessarily tired, but um uh, like fatigued team. So like I mean obviously if the team is a little bit more tired, you're going to get more shots, you're going to get
Yep.
more action. So would you prefer the beginning or the second half of a back to back?
You know what? Like, so usually the beginning of a back to back, both teams are pretty fresh, right? So say you're playing like a Friday, Saturday. So in the minors, we typically play like say Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, or like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So just say it's a Friday, Saturday. So that both teams are pretty fresh on a Friday. Um, and then if you're playing the second of a back to back, you're probably playing a team that played Friday anyways. So both teams are already played the night before. So you're kind of always in the same boat. Unless that team didn't play Friday, you're right. And then they're more fresh, have fresher legs. If it's in their arena, they're probably going to get a pretty good jump on you. But in that situation, I'd prefer just to know what game I'm playing like before the weekend. So if
Okay.
they're like, hey, like Pens, you're going to play Saturday and whoever is going to play Friday, Pascal Leclerc or whatever is going to play Friday. And then I just like to know so you can prepare yourself for the weekend. Some
Yeah.
coaches are like, I'm only letting the goalies know like in the morning who's playing. Like, so stay ready. And you're like, and that's fine. You're always ready anyways. Like
Yeah.
that's one thing I didn't understand. Like it's like anything. It's like any workplace. You have to know how to manage your people, right? So like there's a huge issue if they tell me, hey, you're gonna play Saturday. So I'm like, oh, nice. So I don't have to play Friday. So I'm gonna go out Thursday night drinking and partying or whatever. Like, but they should kind of know who they're dealing with, sort of, right? Like I would
Yeah.
never do that in the first place. Like I'm still going to go to bed and get my proper rest because anything can happen. Like the other goalie could wake up sick Friday and I have to play anyways. I think that's
Yeah.
just part of properly preparing and being a professional.
Yeah,
Anyways,
definitely.
like you don't see that much, but I would just prefer to know what's going on for the weekend from my point of view, like as a goaltender. So, but
Okay.
another good question. Sheer strikes on a
Yeah.
roll. Nice.
So, what about your most memorable play or moment in playing professional hockey? I have mine for you, and I'll cover that next. But I want to
Oh
see if
yeah,
it's. Oh yeah,
sure.
I want to see if
Uh,
that's if it's similar or the same.
uh, Probably while signing the contract with Columbus. Obviously, it was a huge moment, and being called up to the National Hockey League. Like Gary Agnew was our coach in Syracuse, and anytime anybody got called up, he would just come in the room, like say it's after morning skate, and he'd be like, "Hey, Steve Gertzen or Joachim Lidstrom or whoever," he'd just go, like, "You're going up." Like, so he
Really?
came in, yeah. So he came in and he's like, "Pens, like you're going up," and I was like, "What?" So I immediately just packed my stuff and like called my parents and then flew from Syracuse to Columbus. It was a brief stint. They call it a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Ooh, I think I lost connection here.
They
All right, go ahead.
yeah. So they call it a cup of coffee, like when you go up for a cup of coffee and you go back down. So I was up like for a game or two my last year under contract with Columbus. And then right before Olympic break, so that was 06, which was kind of cool. So I was there for a few games and then flew to Nashville. Um, and then the guys went on Olympic break. Otherwise, I would have been there for another 2, 3, 4 weeks, right? So by the time the Olympic break ended, I think Pascal Leclerc was healthy and everything was back. But yeah, I think one of my top moments, that's probably one of them for sure. One to what, as I was preparing for this podcast, you try to reminisce and think about your career, like, oh, what's he going to ask? I had a shutout. I don't know how I forgot this, but I had a shutout my first American League game, called up to Syracuse, which was unbelievable. It was in Hershey, Pennsylvania against the Bears. And yeah, speaking of shutouts, I don't know why I would have forgot that, but yeah, and then some other cool moments throughout my career, but I guess those two stand out the most. What's yours?
So I obviously wasn't able to watch it in person, but when I saw the videos of your goalie fights
Oh,
in Colorado, loved it. I loved every second of it. How does that even play out? Like how? I mean, you see it. God, I think it was last night. I think Nedeljkovic and Talbot almost got into a fight last night. How does that even happen? Like how does a
yeah,
guy at the other end of the ice? I mean, obviously everything going on around you and how the game is playing out, but like how do I just wouldn't understand like how a guy on the other side of the ice can just piss you off to the point where I'm gonna go break his face. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah. Well, I mean, you have to have two willing combatants, right? And
Yeah.
like I said earlier, I love Dan Cloutier. Like my younger brother fought a lot. Like I enjoyed the physical roughness, I guess, of the sport. I was always game to fight usually. Like, so I fought Ray Emery in junior, which was an awesome fight. And there was no other fights going on. I just like, hey, you want to go? And he's like, sure. So we met at center and fought. And yeah, like, so you kind of call the goalie on. I think I challenged Tom Askey in Syracuse when we were playing Rochester. We had the St. Patrick's Day jerseys on. Yeah, then in Colorado, the one fight, the guy just came down and we fought because I wanted to fight him because he two-handed our guy in front of his net pretty hard. And then the other one where I ran down there, like the goalie was involved, so I was running down to get involved too. So, and then my celebration wasn't great, but I'll have to work on that a little bit. I got a little too excited, but yeah, I mean, if the other team's goalie was going to get involved, or just kind of being a dick or whatever, like I was like, no, that's not happening. Like, here we go.
I didn't know you fought Ray Emery. I never knew about that one.
Oh yeah. There's no video or anything. I really wish I saw it. He pumped my eye pretty good, but he hit me with 2 bombs. He was tough. Like, and he was good. He was good goalie. He was Canadian Hockey League goalie of the year that year before he went to Binghamton and then on to Ottawa and stuff. And he was tough, man. He fought everybody. If you look at his videos, like in the American League, like I think he fought this guy, Josh Gratton. He fought a bunch of players. And then obviously in the NHL when he fought Andrew Peters. And we were all like, I loved watching all that stuff. If you ever see there's a Dan Cloutier video where he runs down the ice and just destroys Tommy Salo. It's like from the early 2000s, I think.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. If you look up Dan Cloutier goalie fights, he was always fighting. And that's kind of why I gravitated towards him as a favorite goalie when I was like age, 12 to 20 or whatever. But yeah, nice. Yeah, I did. I enjoyed the fighting, like especially when you come up on top. But the Emery fight was good. I'd give him the win, I guess, a little bit. But we both stood in there, and no one was knocked out, no one fell over, and it was a good fight. It was awesome. So
but
I like that.
I mean, in goalie pads too. I mean,
it's tough.
You're huge. Like, I mean,
it's hard. You got to be pretty strong. Like, because it's hard to tell, right? Like most goalies are pretty thin, like lanky, long guys. Like, but Emery and myself, like we were a little bit more like physical. He was like 205 or 210. I was always like 220, 230. So some big boys. So we could mix it up a little bit. But yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that aspect of the game for sure.
I remember seeing the fight. Emery fought, God, I don't even know who the player was, but it was a player in the NHL, and he got into a fight with him. And one of his teammates, I think he was playing for Buffalo at the time, I think. And his teammates were trying to come to his aid, and Emery was like, "No, I got him. Don't worry."
That's right. Yeah. It was Andrew Peters, I think, was on Buffalo, and Emery was on Ottawa because they had a pretty heated rivalry. And I think Emery fought Biron or started fighting him, and then Peters ran in and grabbed Emery. And then the guys were coming in, and he's like this, like, no, like, let me just go him. And Peters was like a legit, like one of the toughest guys in the NHL, like a legit heavyweight. Yeah. So that was like, oh wow, he was tough.
Yeah, guy, I mean, you see things like that, and once every 10, 15, 20 years, you see a player and a goalie.
Oh yeah, not very often. I don't know if you'll see it much ever. Like,
not now. I mean, they're cracking down on fighting to begin with. So I mean,
let alone a guy. Well, you might see it. I don't know. Let alone, I just don't think many guys would let somebody fight their goalie.
Yeah,
unless we come across another Ray Emery or Hextall or I mean, like guys who could hold their own in a fight. So, but that's crazy. So what about life after hockey? So you said that last year you kind of knew, what was the telltale sign that you knew, like, yep, this is, that this is where, this is it. Like this is my last year. Like, how does that play out in your head, and what steps did you take going forward to officially retire from professional hockey? Yeah, I think just knowing. I mean, obviously, your goal when you play professional hockey is to play at the highest level possible. Like you dream of playing in the National Hockey League, and then you're kind of a journeyman, like more a minor league guy, which was what my resume was. And I was just like, I'm done. I was married at the time, and still am with my wife. Like, and she followed me around enough to cities, and me going up and down, and to the American League and down to the ECHL and stuff. And I was like, okay, like I think we're done. Like let's move to Winnipeg, where she's from, and give it a try and stuff. But yeah, I guess when I just didn't want to keep playing in the minors and just keep going and going. Like I mean, eventually you have to try to jump out into the real world, quote unquote real world, I guess. So yeah, but as far as to prepare for it, I didn't really do much. I didn't even know what I was going to do. I just thought maybe something in sales, which I kind of am right now, like a national sales director for an organization. And because I was always enjoying talking to people. And when I was playing pro, yeah, one of my wife's friends' mothers was like, you should consider getting into sales when you're done, because you're pretty personable, right? And it's just sales is just product knowledge for whatever you're selling. And then it's just building relationships and yeah, just trying to do the best you can do. So but yeah, but it you know what, to be honest, Eric, it was tough the first few years out of hockey. Like, I mean, you still miss the camaraderie, but it gets, as you get older, I mean, you can't go back now, like almost 40, and it's
Yeah.
just, you know what I mean? But for the first few years, you're like, oh man, should I go back? Like, you miss it. And I can understand how guys really have a tough time making the transition.
All right. So the transition,
Yeah.
what made it easier, I guess? What was the easiest part about transitioning?
Uh, I don't know if there was an easy part, actually, to be honest with you. It was pretty tough because you know what? Because I guess you kind of lose your identity at the time. I think there's a saying, like with professional athletes, you suffer like two funerals or two deaths in your life, like the death of your professional career as an athlete, and then obviously your natural death, which is hopefully a lot longer down the line.
Yeah.
Because it's tough. Like it's tough. I was part of a pilot project with former athletes, like Olympic gold medalists, like myself, former golfers who were done playing and then transitioning into business. And some of them were quite successful. And it's unbelievable how much they missed like their sport, like tennis. Like there's a tennis guy on there. Like it was unreal. And they're just like, I miss it. Like I hate this. Like I can't stand it. And they're like 50 years old. And some were like younger than me. And some were, you know what I mean? It was amazing. It was a really
Yeah.
cool focus group. But yeah, like, well, I guess what makes it easier is like family and support, finding hobbies, like trying to get involved in stuff. But yeah, like I just wasn't even having fun. I wouldn't even go to hockey games and watch them, really. Like I was just over it, maybe scorned a little bit and
Yeah.
resentful. But you got to get over that. And now, like, it's night and day. Like all I want to do is go to my kids' hockey, or like go to a Winnipeg Jets game, watch hockey on TV. Like I have the NHL package and always watching like the Lightning, like good goalies, like Marc-Andre Fleury, who I was in camp with and got to know a little bit. Unreal guy, like the best. Yeah, but now it's my love and passion for the sport of hockey is definitely back. Like I just want to go to outdoor rinks and skate. We're fortunate enough here; it's minus 7,000 every day almost. So there's no shortage of ice from like Christmas till even now. There's like 12 feet of snow, and it was minus 35 today, Celsius. So
Wow.
sucks, yeah. But you got to take advantage of it, right? It's like anything. So maybe go for a skate later after work. You do something on the weekend, take the kids skating, but. Yeah, the transition stuff, like I was mentioning, I can see how some people are just like, oh, I'm done, I'm totally fulfilled, but those are probably guys who like won a Stanley Cup and had a pretty
Yeah.
career, and stuff like that. But yeah, even those guys sometimes it's hard, right? It's hard to leave what you've known for so long and then do something new. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure that had to be kind of a proud father moment when your kids were like, yeah, I want to play. I want to be just like dad. I want to play hockey. Like, I'm sure that was like, yeah, good. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, I love hockey. So I said, as long as you guys are having fun and really enjoy it, like I'll be involved coaching and take you at 5:30 in the morning. Like, no problem. You got to be pretty dedicated to play hockey, to play any sport, right? But to the
Yeah.
early mornings and to go, you have to enjoy it. And if they didn't like it, no problem. I would never push that on them because it's tough. Like anything. It's like if they don't enjoy piano or something else, like you can't just like, hey,
Yeah.
sit down and play the piano. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's I mean, sometimes you got to push them if they make the choice. If they're like, no, I want to play hockey, and then it's like a Sunday, and they're like, oh, I don't want to get up. You're like, no, like you get
Yeah.
up and you go. You know what I mean? Like you have to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but
Especially
oh, absolutely. If they're like, yeah, like them playing hockey is awesome. Like because I love hockey, so it's a lot of fun.
how far from the I don't even know the name of the Winnipeg arena.
Oh,
How
you know what?
far?
It changed. Yeah, don't worry about. It's called the Canada Life Center now, but
Oh, yeah.
it was the Bell MTS Center for like I don't know ever since they moved back, and they just
Yeah.
changed it this year, so it's confusing everybody.
How far about are you from being able to go to the game? I saw on your Instagram the other day that you took I think it was Zach, or
Yeah, that's
was it?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
My youngest to his first
Um,
game. Yeah.
yeah. So how far about is that a drive for you? And how many games a year would you say you try to make?
It's about like without traffic, you could probably get downtown in like 15-20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's not a huge city. Like it's not like a metropolis in the US, like going across Chicago in rush hour or Toronto or something, right? Like we get like Winnipeg traffic. We even though we almost have a million people, like it's still yeah, so it's just a quick shot downtown, like maybe traffic 30-45 minutes, like nothing crazy.
Oh,
Um
wow.
yeah, but I usually go to our business has or split seasons tickets, so I'll go with customers or people or get tickets and take my kids like yeah, maybe 10 games a year or so. So,
Oh, nice.
but yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, for sure. And it's, I mean, anytime you can see an NHL games, okay with me.
Yeah. I hope you were not at the game when just this week when Tampa played him.
I
Man,
know.
that was pathetic.
Yeah, it shocked me. I thought we were going to get stomped. Like, I thought it was going to be like a 4-1, 5-1 game for Tampa,
Oh, it
especially
was
with Vasi in
horrible.
net. I know, and the Lightning looked unreal on the power play, too. Like, they were humming it around, and I was like, oh boy. But
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
that first period, I was just sitting there. I'm like, oh my God. Like as a fan, loved it. Three
Yeah,
goals each team. I'm like,
yep.
wow, that's great. Then I got thinking, I'm like, wait, how did Vazzy let three goals in a period? And then obviously you get looking at him and they're like, oh, like maybe he could have had that one. But then the other ones were like, no shot. I mean,
No,
even him is the big cat. He can't stop that. Like,
no, God, no. They kind of, yeah. There's some goals that you're left hung out to dry on, and you can't. Yeah, he's not going to stop everything, and there's going to be games like that where he's going to need a little bit more help defensively, right, and
yeah,
stuff. So, but those games happen. They just
yeah,
bounce back. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, if they strung 6 or 7 of those together, I'd be a little more concerned. But
yeah.
even in a loss, they look good. Like I mean, obviously they could have looked better, but like I said, the power play, like you can tell, and like this team's won some cups and been together a while. Like
Yeah.
they're a fun team, extremely fun team to watch. So
Yeah, we just played last night to suffer through another one. Last night we lost to the Flames 4-1, I think it
oh, is that the
was.
score? Oh, okay.
Oh, it was horrible. It was terrible. We Markstrom, I don't know where he came from. I don't know why he's playing that good this year. He's
Yeah, he's
what is
good.
it, 8 shutouts this year? Like
Yep.
that's disgusting.
Yeah, he's on fire. Like yeah, and they're playing really well lately too.
Yeah.
Actually, they're one of the top teams. So
Yeah, it took us half the game to figure out how to score on him. And then as soon as we scored, they scored two more right away. And I was like, yeah, nothing's going right. So we're
no,
not going to get two past him in a period. No way.
right. Yeah, and those games happen. Are they going to Vancouver next? Are they doing a big swing? Or they go to Edmonton?
Yeah, I think they go to Edmonton next,
Oh,
and then
okay.
I think they wrap it up in Seattle, which
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I really want to go to that arena.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it looks unreal.
yeah, it looks pretty awesome. I have one of their jerseys too.
Nice.
Yeah,
They did a great job on their jersey
oh,
marketing. I thought they hit it out of the park.
they are
Like,
beautiful. And they're they're
yeah,
they're just so different from every. I mean, it's blue. Like a lot of teams are blue. Every
yeah,
color's blue, but that like cyan looking teal, it's just something so different.
yeah,
It's great.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
it's wicked.
yeah. So, how often would you say you still put the pads on? Like, would you
What like what about once a week?
once a
So
week?
on average, yeah, maybe once every 2 weeks. There's a pretty good skate with some former pro guys and college guys that are around my age, like maybe late 20s, like 30s, you know what I mean? Like, and they can
Yeah.
play still. And it's good. It's a good pace. So I think that's part of why I got rid of all my gear when I finished. Is a lot of guys were asking me to come out play, like, hey, can you play with us? Can you play with us? And obviously the caliber was nowhere near what I was used to. So I was just like, I'll just get rid of the gear and just tell guys, hey, I don't have any gear. Like I got rid of it. I don't play
Yeah.
goal anymore. So, but then the spark came back and I wanted to get back in net. And yeah, so I'm involved in a couple skates that are good. Like they're like I have to be on or I'm gonna get lit up. Like so, which is
Really?
nice. It's nice to compete again and have a challenge and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but you know what? To be honest, Eric, I guess once a week's about all I can handle. Like
Oh, I bet.
your hips and knees and just everyday life with kids. It's yeah, you get worn down. So
Yeah. And I mean, you
yeah,
don't have those the professional trainers now, right?
no.
You're on your own to
Oh,
recover and everything.
oh yeah, it's crazy. And you have no time to spend with like, yeah, the yoga and the flexibility and the
Yeah.
recovery. And it's kind of like, hey, don't get hurt. Like just
Yeah.
just hold
Yeah.
together. So, but yeah,
We
like yeah, once a week. I love it. So
yeah, we have a men's league here, and I mean the guys are
nice.
much older than me, but they I mean I am so out of shape. I mean I took like a year off after high school. I was like, I'm done. I'm
Right.
done. My feet hurt. My feet. I don't know how your feet look after playing forever. I have the weirdest looking feet from shoving my foot in a skate for however
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! I have to buy like these shoe. I saw a podiatrist. It's horrible.
Really?
Yeah. I got
Did,
this horrible bunion. My mom says I have old lady feet because they're that bad.
did you
So
get those heel spurs? Did you get like bone spurs on the back of your heel?
yeah. I
Yeah.
got one on the
Yeah.
top too.
Really? Lots of
Yeah.
guys get those. Yeah. I didn't, I wasn't too bad. I mean, your feet get beat up, but yeah, lots of guys have to get the back, like the heel of their skate, like punched out just to make room for like that bone
Yeah.
spur that kind of rubs and grows. It's yeah, it's amazing what the body takes playing sports. Like
It's
just
crazy.
the beating on the ligaments and tendons and hips and any sport. Because you play tennis a lot, right, Eric?
Yeah, I do.
That's a
Yep.
great sport. Awesome. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's a
And
lot of transition, like a lot of deceleration and like pounding on your ankles and knees and
yeah, my knees definitely took a beating. I just actually hurt myself at work August,
oh
I
yeah.
think it was. Yeah. And it was my knee, and I was miserable. I couldn't play, I couldn't do anything. I mean, you don't
Wow.
realize how much. I mean, I'm sure obviously as a professional athlete, I mean, you probably got a significant injury at some point in time, but like you just don't realize how much you do with your knee until
Yeah.
until you can't
Right.
use it. And I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
I broke my arm too when I was playing, and it's like it was my left arm, and I'm right-handed, so it's like I didn't know how much I used my left hand until you just can't move.
Right.
I just felt you just feel so helpless, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was there any
Yeah.
like huge injury that you ever had, or not huge, but like one of the
No.
bigger
What?
ones?
Yeah, my MCL, but it was only for a couple weeks when I was playing in Syracuse. I think my last year, but other than that, not much. I think broke a toe, but I had a high ankle sprain when I got called up to Columbus, and I just didn't say anything. I just got the shit taped out of it, and I was like, "There's no way I'm telling them." Like,
Yeah.
and it was terrible. It was awful. I don't know what happened. I guess probably sprained the upper ankle, but I just played through it. I couldn't even barely walk like upstairs, like that flexion, like when you put your toe on the stair and your heel kind of dips down. For some reason, it was brutal, but like nothing crazy. Yeah, nothing that kept me out too long. I was pretty adamant about staying like healthy and flexible, stretched a ton, like ice bathed a ton, like biked. Yeah, stuff that try to prolong your career and limit your injuries. So
that's incredible too, because you are a goalie. So you think like obviously your knees, your hips, your ankles, you're taking the 80+ mile an hour shot almost every other second, that's crazy that you don't have any. I mean, obviously the ankle sprain, the broken toe, the MCL, but like never anything.
No, wow. Nothing like, not like a fully torn MCL or ACL or like dislocated shoulder, or guys would get like broken clavicles like from one-timers and stuff like.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like a lot of bumps and bruises and shots off the ribs and off your neck and like, but yeah, luckily nothing catastrophic or like career ending or even like never missed like 6 to 8 weeks or anything like that. So
wow,
which is very fortunate.
Yeah. So obviously I see on your Instagram, like you're huge into music.
Yeah.
What do you say your big music interests are? Or, like, do you play any instruments or is it just listening?
No, yeah, like I play guitar. I used to play way more guitar, and then got busy with kids and stuff in life. Mm-hmm. But in drums, we have like a small little drum kit. We'll hammer around a little bit. But yeah, like I'm a huge heavy metal guy. So
okay.
Not to date myself. My dad was huge fan of Kiss. Yeah. So I love Kiss. And then I got into like Pantera is my favorite band ever. And then like Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, like the big four. Now more modern, like Slipknot, Lamb of God, and then some pretty thrashy, like newer, like not new metal, but newer heavy metal bands, like still Cannibal Corpse, that was in Ace Ventura. Yeah. One when he goes into the bar or whatever. That's so some pretty heavy stuff. But that's kind of throughout my career, like hockey career, like I tried to go to some cool concerts and get to know guys that way. Like obviously when like you're in the American League or you go to California to train, like you get to meet some pretty cool people. So I always wanted to do for that. Like some guys want to get into like the hottest club or bars and go out. Like I just wanted to go to shows and meet guys in the metal community and like stuff like that. Yeah. So, but trying to think what other bands. Yeah, mostly metal. Like there's some pretty big like heavy metal bands that'll come through Winnipeg, but they're not that known in Canada. So they'll play like small venues and I'll just go check them out because they're at a small venue and no one really knows who they are here. Where maybe they draw, 6,000-8,000 people in the US at a venue. Like here they'll draw a couple hundred.
Really?
So or some bands that'll be on like a pretty big festival bill. I mean, not like Slipknot comes in a month and they'll get 10,000-14,000 people probably. Like they're a big band. So but yeah, or like Metallica obviously will sell it, but just some lesser known bands from like Jacksonville, Florida, or from like Syracuse. There's a band Every Time I Die, even though they recently broke up. Like they'd come here and play like a tiny venue with like a couple hundred people. Yeah, so wow, that kind of cool. Yeah. What about you, Eric? What are you into?
Oh, geez, I mean I can't really do country music. I just
me neither. That's
I can't.
I can't stand it.
I
respect it. I respect
exactly
any musician, but no, that's funny.
Yeah, I just went to Nashville for that Stadium Series game that Tampa just played in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
it was one of the coolest games I've ever been to. Nashville is a super fun city, but I just there's live music everywhere, so that was awesome. Like you could go into any restaurant. there was a Taco Bell on just off of Broadway, and they had live music in the Taco Bell. They were serving alcoholic like freezy things. It was the craziest. I'm like, what is this? Like, this is awesome. And obviously I'm 20, so like in the US you can't drink until you're 21. So you
Right.
yeah, so I'm definitely gonna go back. That doesn't count as our Bridgestone Arena
Right.
visit. So that'll definitely be that in Vegas are gonna be after 21.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. No, but they played, there was one guy who played more pop-ish music.
Yep.
But everybody else was just country. And I mean, I appreciated it. Like live music, nothing beats it. But I mean, it's just everything's about the same topic. I mean, dogs dying, a relationship, an automobile, alcohol, and tobacco.
Yeah.
That is the country music. But yeah, I listen to rock. I listen to I love Earth, Wind and Fire.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing Elton John here soon.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. I heard he still puts on like a show. It's I think they said it's like 2.5 hours long. I mean, he has
that's amazing.
He has a lot of music, but I mean, he's what, 74, 75?
Yeah, it's incredible that those guys can do that. Like, yeah, the Stones, any band that's in their 70s that's still putting on a show like that is unbelievable.
Yeah, but my dad's a huge Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac person.
Really? Yeah, my dad too. Yeah.
And she's actually playing finally live again in New Jersey in September. And in a music festival, Green Day is going to be there. A bunch of smaller bands. So we're thinking about it, thinking about going to that. But because I mean, she's 73, so you never know. Elton's playing on his farewell tour, and he's 74, I think. Yeah. So I mean, you never know when that's going to be the last time you see him. And I mean, he's grown up with Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac. Yep. So for him to be able to go for potentially one of her last, not tours, but last venues around here, that I want to get him the tickets, but my mom says no. Like he'll get him if he wants them. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, so, better listen to mom.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to ruffle her feathers. So,
no.
Yeah. So she actually told me to ask you this question, and I was like, I can't ask that question. I'm like, that's weird. And she's like, no, she's like, I'm sure all hockey players deal with this. And I'm like, all right. I have the worst trouble finding jeans, pants, dress pants, any pants.
Yeah.
I cannot find anything that fits. And she's like, I wonder if that's all hockey players. So do you have issues finding pants that fit your legs?
Yes. Yeah. That's a great question. Yeah. Well, no, because I think because your quads and hockey players have a bit more of an ass, like more muscle, right? Like your glutes. Yeah. And if you find a pant that fits, the waist is like huge, right? Like
exactly.
So I used to wear like a 36 short, like say it's like a cargo short or a short, and then like the waist was huge. Then you'd get like a smaller size, but then the pockets are like bulging out. You know what I mean? Because it's so tight at the front of the thigh. You got to find like. Luckily now a lot of brands have like like an athletic fit, and it's just like trial and error. So like bigger in the thighs and butt, but like smaller in the waist a little bit. But it's hard. Like fitting suits was a nightmare. Like guys aren't built mostly like this. To be honest with you, like most businessmen, like if they're like a 36 waist, like they're big guys, right? Like kind of out of shape, and you know what I mean? Like not like. So you got to get a lot of stuff custom with suits or tailored. You can get like a cheap suit, but for jeans, there's a company in Canada called Duer, Duer. They make an unreal jean, and I found out about them through Sean Avery's podcast.
Okay.
So, he was talking about them like a year ago. So their jeans are awesome. Anything that stretches, like give and like an athletic fit that stretches. is kind of what I go to. But yeah, hey, your mom is she's got to write some more questions for
Yeah, she
you.
no, God, happened all the time in high school, happened a lot. My first college experience, and then now that I went back to school, everybody's like, "Oh, Eric, why do you buy skinny jeans?" I'm like, I do not buy skinny
Yeah,
jeans.
right.
And they're like, "Well, why do they look like that?" I'm like, I play hockey, like I can't help
Yeah,
that. Like,
yeah. They got muscles.
yeah, and they're like, "Oh," or my professor said it to me. My first day of class with him this semester, he goes, I walked in there and I had jeans on. And he goes, "Play hockey, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, yep."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Are you a hockey fan?" He goes, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." I was like, "Yeah, yeah."
yeah,
He goes, "Yeah, I understand the issue. I understand the problem."
yeah.
I was like,
Everything's
"Yeah,
tight.
it's
Yeah,
horrible." And I mean, that's why I just wear a lot of sweatpants.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Oh, totally. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you just
Shorts. I'll jump as soon as I'm done with my day. I'll jump right out of my dress pants or khakis or whatever, like because they're snug. Yeah, like
yeah.
they're if you want the waist to fit, like they're snug.
Yeah, they
Like
have to be. I mean, and plus everything's just so tight in your legs. It's like
oh yeah,
you can't even move. Like
no,
that's
it's yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's good to hear that we're going through the same problem. So
Yeah,
it's
that definitely makes me feel a little bit better that other people are having the same type of
oh yeah,
issue.
oh for sure. Yeah, they just look painted on. Like
Yeah, yep. So I when I was growing up, I obviously saw you and that's this poster, and you had I sent you the picture of me posing with this
yeah,
jersey
yeah,
just like you did.
yeah,
And the first thing I picked up on in that poster was your tattoos.
yeah.
I was like, wow, I love it. So for Christmas that year, my mom, I wanted everything to do with you. My grandma put like steamed on the number 35 and penner onto a blue shirt. And I would wear that was like the shirt I would wear like everyone has a favorite shirt.
Yeah, yeah,
That was it.
yeah.
I would wear that everywhere I went. You could barely take it off of me. And so that year, my mom got me a fake like Halloween sleeve tattoo, and I would wear that all the time. And
That's
I thought
awesome.
I was just the coolest thing. So, what are the tattoos like? What is the inspiration behind them? Like, and how many do you think you have?
Uh, the inspiration was, I guess, just tattoos in general. I mean, you kind of like some things like, I wanted a snake. Like, it's yeah, can't really show because it'd be upside down. But yeah, like more like the Japanese genre. It's like it's pretty famous genre for tattooing. And then like I got some band tattoos. I got a whole like Megadeth panel. It's like this big on the side of my thigh.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I just like the kind of like that culture, that heavy metal tattoo culture. If I saw something I liked, I would get it. Like I didn't go through a trend with like a lot of tribal or barbed wire or
yeah,
like Looney Tunes tattoos. There's more of like a deeper into the tattoo culture, like what styles were kind of in at the time. And yeah, now it's more. I've slowed down a lot. Like I got my whole chest done, both sleeves, like working on a full leg sleeve, but it slows down. It
yeah,
hurts. It hurts first of all a lot, but now there's so many artists and so many guys like just browsing Instagram. It's unbelievable what these guys can do with the tattoo gun. Like
yeah,
it's amazing, and just the art they can do. And now there's something for everybody, right? Like people get portraits of musicians or like hockey players. I've seen some unbelievable hockey ones, and yeah, I don't know. I was just into it. I just like tattoos, like so.
yeah.
Yeah, I always thought it was cool, what I mean, kind of thing. It was my thing. So
Yeah, I just probably 2 years ago now I got my first right here.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, so I got it, and my parents were not for it. They're like, oh, you're not gonna tarnish your skin, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Like, yep. And she's like, my mom's like, oh no, like what could you possibly want? Like, it's gonna be something stupid. And I'm like, no, like just wait. And she's like, you're not even gonna show me. I'm like, no. So I went, got it done, came home. My mom's like, what does that symbol even mean? I'm like, it's the adoption symbol. And she started crying, and I'm like, yep, there it is. So yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I got another one. They're addicting. I mean,
they are. And when they come out clean and they look nice.
Yeah.
And it's, you know what, too, when you collect them, you know, it signifies things that happen in your life or a time in your life at that point. Like, so I got tattooed in Syracuse, like Dayton, Ohio, Toronto, Winnipeg. Like, it's almost like collecting art too, right? And I know it's permanent and on your body and stuff. And people are like, well, you can't change it. But I mean, there could be worse things to deal with or worry about than, you know, a tattoo you got 10 years ago, or, you know, when you get older or something. Exactly. But there's usually thought that goes into it, usually, right? Like, I mean, if you respect your body and stuff, like you don't just run out and get something stupid. Usually, some people do, but they might regret it. But no, beautiful tribute, very cool.
Yeah, no, and they that was the other thing too. I mean, like as an athlete, I didn't do it because I was an athlete, but like just more so like, you know, more or less that you're not going, like your skin is not going to, you're not going to lose the muscle where you get the tattoo. You know what I mean? So like on your thigh, for the thigh tattoo you said you had, like that as a hockey player, like we just talked about, big thighs don't go away. Like they're there.
Yeah, no, totally.
So that'll always look good. That was my big thing. I mean, the placement's everything for a tattoo, in my opinion. So
absolutely. And a good artist will go over that with you. They'll be like you'll show them something and they'll be like, that like, if the placement's wrong, like you'll be like, that might look better here or there, or you got to be open, because they are artists, right? So they kind of have their artistic opinion and what they want to do and what looks good. So they
definitely
right on.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna wheel in about 5 minutes, Eric. I gotta head to a meeting. Is that okay?
Yeah, totally fine. That was my last question, actually.
Oh, it was? Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, it works out perfect. So thank you for joining. I appreciate it more than you even know. It was a pleasure to even see you, let alone be able to interview you and everything.
Yeah, no, it's fun, man. I wish you good luck with everything. Like, I hope this pops off, or at least you keep it going and get to meet and interview some cool people. It was very good. You're very easy to talk to, and I'm glad we got to sit down and talk. I know we communicate a lot over social media and stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Great job, man. Tell your mom good questions too.
I will.
She did okay. Yeah. You guys, right on, man.
Yeah. Well, listen, if things go well with this, I mean, maybe you could come back and visit and we could talk a little bit more. I know it's a lightning podcast, but I wanted to do a little bit of a get to know me and get to know the reason why I fell so in love with the sport. You know, it's you're why I have the passion I do. And I mean, obviously you weren't playing for Syracuse when they were or now are the affiliate of the Lightning, but that at the time when you played, I didn't fully understand the sport. And now that I understand it, and I started to understand it more when they became an affiliate of the Lightning, which is why I am a Tampa fan. So so no, I definitely appreciate it, and maybe we could have you back and talk a little bit more Lightning stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let me brush up on the Lightning a little bit, but I'd love to come back in the future, man. Yeah. Good luck with everything, and thanks for being a fan. I can't even comprehend that I made this much of an impact on you as far as the sport of hockey goes, but I sure do appreciate it, Eric.
Oh, pleasure's all mine. So
right on.
All right, man. Well, thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much.
Yep.